Okay, so what do I do when I'm asked to solve or write in factored form something that is irrational? And what does irrational mean? Irrational means you cannot write it as a fraction of decimals. The decimals do not terminate or repeat. What do? I use a special formula called quadratic formula. So again, if I go to my formula sheet, I'm going to go look at where quadratic is right here. So you can see there's the three forms, standard, vertex, and factored. And then here's a quadratic formula. So there's nothing you have to remember. You just have to know how to use it. All right, so that is what we're going to focus on this video. All right, so before I start with all the steps on how to do the quadratic formula, I do want to point out something again. So note, all right, every time you have multiple choice, you're always going to type in the question in the first line and your answer choices into the next line into decimals with a plus outside the, okay, so those are a lot of steps to remember, so let's actually do it. All right, so we're going to look at an example. So here we have multiple choice, and it says every time you have multiple choice, always type the question in the first line. So let's go ahead and do that. So the question into the first line. And please make sure you copy this question correctly, because that's the only reason you get it wrong. So you always type the question in the first line. Then it says your first answer choice into the line, into the next line with the plus outside the radical. So this one. So here's my answer choice. So we have 2 plus radical 10. Okay. And then, and see if that matches your plus answer. All right. So I'm going to look right here. Here are my two answers. All right. Does that match that? No, so the answer is not A. So I'm going to go ahead and type in B. So I should have a -2 here. Oops, a -2 there, and then still plus radical 1.6. Now we're checking again. Does it match? All right, so look, it does match 6228. Yep, so this one matches, but you're going to check both. So we're checking both on B. So the next one, so see if it matches your plus answer and repeat the A with a minus outside the radical. So we're going to now check this second part. You don't just check one, you have to check that they both match. So 2 minus radical 10 for answer choice B. Now we're going to come right here. We're going to click it. Do those two answers match? No, they don't. So I know one of my answers is -2 plus radical 10. So I'm going to skip this one because that's not one of those answers. So I'm going to come right here to D, -2 plus radical 10. And the other one should be -2 minus radical 10. So I just need to change this to a negative. All right, now I'm going to come right here. Does it match? So it has to match both answers. Yes, it does. This one matches this one matches this one. So my answer choice is D. So once again, anytime that you are given multiple choice, the very first thing that you are doing is you are making sure that you type in the question into decimals and the answer choices into decimals as well. All right, now let's say we don't have multiple choice, Miss Ainley. What do we do? All right, so these are the steps. Now I've put the steps here for this question because I don't want to keep zooming in and out. So I'll put the steps here. So follow steps 1 through 7 to follow the following. So it says copy the equation into decimals. So again, we're always going to check our answer choice in decimals because we just want to make sure that we're on the right track. Now, because there is some work involved in this, you do want to make sure you are doing your work in decimals as opposed to a sheet of paper, because you want to check your answer every time. So remember, you're checking your answer or checking my work as I go to make sure the graphs match. So there's my question. I've copied it in the decimals. It says number 2, on the next line, put the quadratic into standard form. Everything on the left and combine like terms. So it looks like this. Okay, so remember, if you forget what standard form is, they will tell you that on the formula sheet. So I need it to look like this and then equals 0 is what I'm doing. All right, so ensure the graph overlaps the original. That will make sure you haven't made a mistake. All right, so let's put it in standard form and combine like terms. First, I want a 0 on this side. That means I need to take this over here. So this is going to change from positive 2x to minus 2x. So we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to go here and go actually, we're supposed to do this on a new line. My bad. So let's copy that, paste that. So this positive 2x goes to the other side. It's going to be minus 2x. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up with where the like terms are. And let's just make sure I didn't make a mistake. Yes. So if I by mistake said, oh, it's just positive, look, it looks different, right? So I would fix it immediately, which is why I want you to do your work in decimals. All right, so I've taken 2x to the side, it's minus 2x. Let's combine like terms, so these look alike. What is -1 minus 2? And I'm going to put this right in the calculator, -1 minus 2, and it's -3. So now what that's telling me is I can take these two terms and combine it to -3x. Am I still okay? Yes, because I'm consistently looking here to make sure everything I change keeps my answer exactly with the question. All right, so I'm good. I've gone ahead and written this in standard form because it goes x squared, then the x, then the numbers. So it is done. We're going to go to step 3. On the next line, press divide in Desmos. Now I'm going to say this 1,000 times. Press divide in Desmos. If you don't press divide in Desmos, it will not look the same. Press divide in Desmos. Press divide in Desmos. Press divide in Desmos. All right, press divide in Desmos. Okay, next one, write the formula down with parentheses where the letters are in the calculator. Okay, so this is the formula, and again, you don't have to remember, it'll be given to you. All right, so we're going to write this formula down with parentheses every time I see a letter. So we're copying exactly minus, so I put minus. B, oh, I see a letter, so I put what? Parentheses. I see plus minus. How do I put that in the calculator? Let's go read our notes. It says use plus first as the calculator doesn't allow you to do plus minus. Okay, so I'm going to put plus first. All right, then square root. So we're going to come type square root. Then I see another letter. So it said a letter, put what? Parentheses. All right, then squared. Then I see what's next? A minus. Then the number 4. Then I see a letter, so put what? Parentheses. Then I see another letter, so put what? Parentheses. All right, and please make sure this square root is over all of this. So let's make sure square root is over all of that. Perfect. On the bottom, I have the number 2. And then I see what? A letter, so I put what? Parentheses. All right, so I've gone ahead and copied the formula with parentheses where the letters are. On your paper, put boxes around the parentheses here. So what is in front of x squared? Put a box right there, or parentheses if you want. And you're going to label this one A, this one B, and this one C. So it says on your paper. So here's my paper. So first, let me write my simplified, write the expression in your calculator here. So this one was going to be x squared minus 3x minus 14 equals 0. All right, now we're labeling A, B, C. So it said right before x squared, put a box there and label that A. Okay, so right before x squared, right here, there's an invisible what? 1, and that's going to be labeled A. Right before x, there's B. So right before x, do not forget the symbol. That is B. And then the number by itself is C. Do not forget the symbol. Do not forget the symbol. So I've labeled it A, B, C. All right, it says fill A, B, C in the formula where the parentheses are in Desmos. So the first letter is supposed to be B. So in the first parenthesis, I go look at B, it's -3. If B is -3, I don't care that there's a negative out there. I'm putting -3 in the parentheses. Do not drop anything. That's why you are boxing it. That's why you have parentheses. All right, so B is there. The next letter is B. We just said that that was -3. The next letter is A. A is 1. So you're going to come right here, 1. The next one is C, and that's -14. So again, you are not leaving anything out. Whatever it is what you're putting. And on the bottom, we have an A, which is 1. So we'll put in 1. So boom, we're going to check to make sure that this is correct before we move on, right? And you're checking by just clicking here. So these are my roots, right? So the positive version is 5.53113. Perfect. And you can see that they rounded this last one, 1, 1. And then this 2 and this 8 brought this up to a 3. All right, so this is my positive one, right? And then it says on a new line, copy and paste what you have from step 4 and change the positive to a negative, because we see we have 2 roots or 2 x-intercepts, so 2 zeros or 2 solutions. So we're going to copy that, bring it here, and change outside the parentheses to a negative. All right, so we're going to change outside the parentheses to a negative because the formula is plus or minus. So when change it to a negative, we should get my other solution, which we do, -2.5311. Yeah, and you can see that's where it is. So I'm good so far. And again, you can see I'm checking every single step in Desmos because as soon as I don't know, I make a mistake, I fix it right there. I don't fix it at the end of the problem. All right, so I've gone ahead and do that. On a new line, I did that. These are your answers. However, most of the time, they want the answer in simplest radical form. Okay. So here are my notes on how to simplify. So these are my answers. I just need them in simplest radical form. To simplify, we do it in 3 sections in the calculator to ensure we don't make a mistake. Keep an eye on the decimal answer. So this is the decimal answers right here to make sure it doesn't change. So if it does change, you know you made a mistake, you need to fix it right there. Okay, so as long as it doesn't change, you can move on. Copy and paste on a new line. Copy and paste on a new line and replace the circle with the answer. Okay, so we'll start with this answer right here. So this is the one that we're looking for, and that's the decimal that we're looking at. So we're looking for it to stay 5.53. Whatever we do here to simplify, it stays like this. Okay, so remember, math is cumulative. So now we're going to play cards and just do some order of operations. All right, so copy and paste line 1 and replace the circle with the answer. Okay, so we're going to replace this with the answer. Repeat for step 2 and then repeat for step 3 and replace the circles in the answer. All right, so we're just doing this over and over. All right, so I first need to do step 1 right here. We're going to copy that and we're going to put it exactly like that and let the calculator tell us what it is. So what is, and I might have to take, I thought it would tell me, but okay, what is a negative times a negative? It is a positive. I'm just going to make sure, hold on one second. Yeah, that works, okay. Maybe I need to put the invisible 1. Yeah, invisible 1, okay. But if you don't remember to do that, it's okay. Negative times a negative is a what? A positive, right? So I'm going to replace this with a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. All right, now I'm looking at my number. Did it change? No. So I've done step 1 correctly. So I can check off that I did 1. Now I'm going to go do step 2. Everything highlighted. So I'm going to take everything highlighted and put it in the calculator. It gives me an answer. So I'm going to replace everything underneath the radical with what? 65. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to replace it with 65. All right, looking at my decimal, did it change? No. So step 2 is right. Okay, now I'm going to go to step 3. I'm going to do this part right here, which is the bottom. All right, so take that one, put it in the calculator. It's going to give me 2, so I replace everything on the bottom with the number 2. Checking my decimal, did it change? No, so I did step 3 correctly. All right, so we've done all 3 steps in the calculator. The calculator has done it for us. It has simplified it for us. The only thing we need to do is simplify the radical if it can be simplified. So now this is where your books come in. You're going to break it down, take out books, and so forth. All right, so we're going to break down radical 65. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So remember, what do I check? What numbers do I check? I check 2. That didn't work. 3. That didn't work. So I'm checking my prime numbers. 5. That works. So I'm replacing 65 with what? 5 times 13. Again, keeping an eye on my decimal. Did it change? No, so I'm good. All right, so can I break down 13 anymore? No, because 13 is a prime number. All right, so there's no books. Are there any books? Nope, no books to take out. So this radical cannot be simplified. So I'm going to put that back as the answer. So that answer was 65. It cannot be simplified. So boom, cannot be simplified. So I can move on. Finally, simplify the fraction. All right, so this is the fraction that needs to be simplified. This right here can also be written, and I'm just going to show you just so that you can, believe me. All right, it can be written as, because it's a fraction, you see this is over the both of them. It is like I say that it's over them individually. You see that, how it still matches? So simplifying fractions is you're just looking at whether you can reduce this. Can I reduce 3 over 2? No, because 3 over 2 is the most reduced fraction. If you type it in here, you see 3 over 2 is the most reduced. And this is invisible, 1.5 is the most reduced. So there's nothing to simplify. So because there's nothing to simplify, this is my final answer. So we have 3 plus radical 65 over 2 is my first answer. But remember, I have how many? 2. So I also have this one. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to do the 3 steps. Well, really, actually, you know what, to make this shorter, so I don't have to do the 3 steps. It's the same thing without, but you're changing the plus to a what? To a minus. So if I couldn't simplify the plus one, I also can't simplify the minus one. So this is also the answer. So 1 is positive and 1 is negative. All right. Again, it seems like a lot because we are putting a couple of units into one unit, but once you get used to it, it's actually very, very simple. So let's practice.